listening to Joygasm, a video game and movie podcast. I'm Russ, Xbox Live Toaster 360. My stupendous sibling is Steve, Xbox Live Stevavitch. And it's pre-order season in episode 191 today, September 17th, 2020. We're going to be catching up with each other before diving right into our topic of the day, which is the Sony pre-order screw-up, which you can fast forward to if you look at the timestamps located in the detailed section down below. Otherwise, you just continue to listen. I cannot believe it is Friday once more. I have some fun things that I am looking forward to sharing with you, Steve.
Oh, really, Russ?
Yes. But with that little dangling carrot, I'm going to start with you. What's new with you, Steve?
Well, I will say that a friend of my wife's got Disney Plus.
Good. I like that platform.
Well, that's good for you.
Did you watch more Jeff Goldblum, Steve?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
But so a friend of hers got it, and she's in Canada, and we were able to sign in on her account.
Oh,
so we stole some Disney Plus.
The old streaming stealing thing.
You know, and I'm glad we haven't signed up, Russ, because I just feel like there's not enough on there for us to be entertained with.
The National Geographic stuff alone would be very entertaining for you guys. There's a mountain of stuff.
Okay, by itself, yeah, but so anyhow. No, I still don't think it's worth it though. But what I will say is that we did watch a few things.
Oh,
yeah.
I think they've also added all of their Fox assets to Disney Plus too, because I saw like The Simpsons up there.
The Simpsons is on there too.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, you can only watch so much Simpsons. The Simpsons have been on air for like 20 years,
and there's a reason why. That is a staple of American pop culture goodness right there, and you know it.
It is. Okay, The Simpsons is not bad, but it's kind of a has-been show.
No, I totally disagree.
Past its prime.
I do not agree at all.
I used to do an impression of Barney when I burped, and I had it down perfect.
I know. It was very impressive.
And everybody thought, oh, that's funny, he sounds like Barney. And then we hit a point where no one recognized the burp anymore. And I knew The Simpsons had seen its day.
Yeah, but so basically what you're saying is you are succumbing to social pressures because
I'm not succumbing to
certain people didn't recognize the Barney burp.
I'm just saying
that's on them, Steve. That is on them.
I realized myself that I wasn't very interested in watching The Simpsons anymore. But that was years ago, and I have no interest in really watching it now. Not saying it's a bad show, it's just I've moved on.
Blasphemy, I say. Blasphemy, Steve.
Anyhow, so her friend paid the like $30 or something for Mulan.
Oh, you watched that?
We watched Mulan.
Oh man, I'm almost afraid to ask. I saw the newest trailer that came out. I was like, ooh, like this is not very reminiscent of the cartoon. I'm a fan of the cartoon. I always thought it was a fun movie. And I saw that they had departed quite a bit. Was my gut reaction correct? Was it accurate?
So the cartoon has way more character than this live version.
Yeah.
There's no humor in it like whatsoever. That being said, it's not terrible. It's just I wonder what it really wants to be, because the cartoon knew exactly what it was. It was. You know, it wasn't your Disney princess movie per se.
Yeah.
But it told a good story, and it had some great comedy in it and some great music and whatever. So
it maintained the comedy aspect of it. So despite not having like the more fantastical characters.
No, there was no comedy in this like whatsoever. They just like told a story.
Okay. But it was much more serious.
It was much more yes and no. See, it was a live version that was way toned down. So it was like a kid's movie still, but a very serious kid's movie.
Very somber kid's movie.
Yes, kind of. And so you always wonder, so it made me think, okay, what could have this movie been if it was like rated PG-13 or R? Because it would have been much, much better than it was just being like this serious kid's movie. So then I felt like, okay, well, what's Mulan now? Because I wanted Mulan to be a live action movie, but retain the comedy and with like the spiritual characters and stuff.
Right.
And so they gave me the live version, but they took away all the comedy. And so I it's like one step forward, two steps back in a way, maybe 1.5 steps back, because I feel like I want to still recommend the cartoon, but not the live action version.
Oh, like I said, I'm a big fan of the cartoon version, but I was a little unsure. Like it was weird because the first trailer that came out for it, and you and I saw it together. I remember on Joygasm we watched it, and we were both very excited to see it. But then I saw, I think it was either the second trailer or the third trailer. I can't remember which one. And it was much more focused on the narrative, and I was watching. I was thinking, this is not the Mulan that I remember. It looks like they're taking some pretty liberal, creative liberty here in terms of like kind of like it looked like there were certain characters that didn't even exist in the cartoon movie that are now there. Like there looks like some sort of like evil female character or something that can like shapeshift into, I don't know if it's like a bird or something, but like she has these different powers. And I'm like, I remember how there was like the main evil dude in the Disney Mulan cartoon. And I think maybe he had some kind of vulture bird-esque thing that was like, it traveled with him, but it wasn't like a human in disguise or anything like that. So I don't know if like they looked at that and they thought, well, let's just extrapolate upon the bird and make it into this other character or whatever. And to me, I'm just thinking, well, you guys already have the story. Like, why don't you just stick to that?
Yeah. So I don't know. I definitely do not think it was worth $30. I'm glad we got it for free.
Well, yeah.
But anyhow, I don't know. That just kind of set the tone again for Disney Plus from us. Although we did watch some of the Marvel stuff. We watched the first Captain America.
Yeah.
We watched the first Thor, which those were good. But then again, I mean, I'm not really eager to go see all those movies all over again. I mean, I would watch them every once in a while, but I feel like at some point I'm going to reach the end of Disney Plus, and then I'm going to wait for them to bring out something, but I'm going to be paying for it month in and month out while I'm waiting.
So the months themselves are really, I mean, like the fee that you're paying is super cheap.
How much is it, Russ?
I think I'm paying like $3 a month.
Is it $3?
Yeah. I mean, it's basically a coffee drink a month, a small coffee drink. And I like I said, it's cool because I have so much content. That's the thing. It's crazy because I canceled my Netflix subscription like a year ago or 2 years ago, something like that. And I still have like Amazon Prime. I have Disney Plus. I have Hulu. I mean, there are literally so many different outlets that have content. And that's not even counting the movies I have on hand, the video games. I mean, I have a Switch, a PlayStation, an Xbox. I literally have more content than I know what to do with. So I'm fine with that because there are certain nights where like I'm just in the mood to watch something from Disney Plus, and that's awesome because they do in fact have a ton of content. Now again, when it comes to like Fox, for instance, like 24, I think actually was on Fox, and I'm not sure if they have that on Disney Plus or not.
We didn't see it on Disney Plus, but then again, I wasn't looking for it. I didn't search for it.
I'm glad that we're having this conversation because I haven't actually done like an earnest search for like all the Fox content, and I'm sure like all I need to do would just Google it, just go on and say, okay, I'm betting that there is somebody out there who has made a comprehensive list of like every single type of TV show and movie that Fox owned that Disney has decided to push up. So I'm curious to see that, but just because I think having that acquisition is going to really help that platform. Because I see what you're saying. Like, you know, the Star Wars stuff, it's awesome to have a place where all the Star Wars movies are available. And even the Clone Wars, which I haven't even watched yet. And those are multiple seasons. But at some point, you've watched all the Star Wars films. You want to see what else is there. Oh, cool. They have the Marvel stuff. Again, there are only so many Marvel movies that have been made. And once you go through them, then like, you know, the likelihood of you watching them again, it just depends on how big of a fan you are. Having said that, though, like then you have your Disney films, right, and your Disney content and cartoons and stuff, and you have the National Geographic stuff. So I mean, I would argue there are multiple years worth of content. I mean, unless you're binge watching 12 hours a day, nothing but Disney Plus, then yeah, you'll probably eventually see just about everything they have. I'm not one of those people, and I therefore really like to just sit down and be entertained by one of their shows, even the original programming that they made specifically for Disney Plus, I think you would really like. Just because it's this nice, in-depth, behind the scenes, whether it's like an employee testimonial or it's behind the scenes of how they're working on something or whatever else. It's done really well. It's not dumbed down for children. It's actually really intellectually stimulating, I feel like. So continue, please.
Anyhow, so we were just searching through it. We just really got bored quickly, so I don't think we'll be picking that up. But I think we will end up switching to Amazon Prime. My thing is that because everything I can watch on Netflix. Oh, by the way, I finished up House of Cards.
I have not, so don't
I'm
spoil
not
it for me.
Gonna spoil nothing.
I'm glad you said that though, because it's another show that I need to wrap up.
Because we canceled Netflix, but my membership still runs for a little bit longer, so I'm watching everything that I wanted to watch.
Oh,
on
you
Netflix.
did? You've already canceled Netflix.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay.
If they end up changing directions, I'm definitely I'll be back. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I just feel.
I didn't know if you were still considering it or if you actually followed through.
I mean, if they change, so I might get when they bring back the second season of The Witcher, I might buy a month worth of Netflix just to watch The Witcher. But yeah, I don't like the direction the company is going. I just feel wrong about it. And B, everything I can watch on Netflix, I can pretty much watch on Amazon Prime. And then if I get Amazon Prime, I get everything shipped faster. So what do you know? The one thing that I feel reserved about is that Netflix does stream much better than what I've seen on Amazon Prime.
I was going to say Amazon Prime is also really good. I think it just tends to depend on what your internet performance is.
But no, it's not because for example, what's that movie that you showed me once? No Country for Old Men.
That's one of them.
Okay, remember when we watched that one? It was available on Netflix for me for a little while, and then I watched it, and at a time I did have Prime, and I flipped back over to Amazon Prime to watch it, and Netflix streamed it better than Prime did.
Oh, interesting. How long ago was that?
Oh, that was probably winter last year. I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe things have gotten better. I don't know. But when I flipped back and forth, there was a noticeable difference.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that Netflix probably has some sort of tech behind it that is probably one of the best in the business because that's what their entire business model was founded upon. Disney Plus, by the way. My goodness, man.
It's okay. Okay, so I was looking at that because I've always said it's so crispy.
But here in my house, every time I start it up, it's first of all, the whatever show I'm watching begins instantly. You press play, it's boom,
right,
and it starts up.
Right.
And there are a couple of times when it takes maybe 3 seconds for it to go from standard definition to HD. And that's during the Disney Plus logo anyway. By the time the show starts, it's crispy. It's fine.
So Netflix, actually, in my opinion, Netflix ran actually a little bit better than Disney Plus did.
Okay.
Could have been just me. I don't know. All I know is that I was running 50 megabytes a second, and now I'm back at 200 to 300. So it's a lot better than what it was before.
Oh, yeah.
And anyhow, so we'll see. There's some shows on Netflix I still want to see, but that's where we're at there. I didn't play much. I only played Ghost of Tsushima once, which was when we were streaming.
Out of the last 7 days, you've only played
Ghost
of Tsushima. One of those 7 days, Steve?
Per our last podcast, I've been trying to give...
Otherwise known as Pop.
Excuse me. I've been trying to give Avengers more of a shot. And so I've been playing. Now, you have been enjoying plenty of Ghost of Tsushima.
It's not Goat, it's Got, Steve.
Goat.
There's no A.
Anyhow, I just like calling it Goat.
Not to be confused with Game of Thrones.
Yeah, right.
Or any other title that has GOT.
So I've been playing Avengers. You haven't done jack with Avengers.
That's no longer true, Steve.
No longer, as of Wednesday. What, did you beat the game? Did you beat Ghost of Tsushima? You did, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
That's what I thought. I hadn't seen any YouTube notifications about you playing any more of that. Anyway, That's what I figured. So, by the way, were you watching me stream?
I was.
Oh, were you really?
I was watching on my phone.
Yeah, okay.
I can't watch you on my TV because I'm streaming at the same time you are, Steve.
What did you stream, Russ?
Marvel's Avengers.
Did you?
I did.
Anyhow, so I've just unlocked Black Widow.
Oh, cool.
And I'm still just not, the game just not just really just doing it for me. I'm unchanged from what I last said about Avengers.
Okay. How many hours do you think you have put into it?
Russ, I've probably put in about 20.
Okay. So do you think, based on the narrative, are you like 40% through the game, do you think? Or halfway through? Or?
I've got to be pretty close to halfway.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably pretty close.
Okay.
So far, it's just kind of, just kind of flat. It's just average. I don't know, Russ. But that's about all with me. What about you? I know you're dying to just talk my ear off and make me go to sleep with your happenings.
Well, I want to go back to Ghost of Tsushima because, yes, I did beat the game, and I cannot wait until you beat it so then we can discuss it, just because the ending itself is worthy of discussion. And so once that happens in a future episode of Joygasm, we're catching up with each other. It'll be fun to be able to go into great detail. So until that actually happens, I will have to remain silent, or mostly silent. So
that's hard for you.
It is. But I can tell you that it's a bit of a double-edged sword for me in the sense that
double-edged
I was satisfied.
Katana?
Yes. Very, very good. Double-edged kunai, if that's how you pronounce it. But anyway, when it comes to the ending, there's part of it where like I was satisfied, but then there's another part where I was not satisfied. So it'll be fun to be able to talk about that. But I feel like
did you talk about it with Brad?
I did.
Because I think you said Brad felt the same way.
So Brad let on that he was not. Well, Brad was even farther than I was. I mean, he was angry.
Yeah.
So I was pretty surprised at the level of emotionality on display there, Steve. But having beat it, I did chat with him at great length about it, and he has. We see eye to eye. Like there are some very valid points that are being made. But I for one, am very glad that I was able to get through it, beat it, and wish there was New Game Plus, and hopefully they will actually make a New Game Plus.
Even if there's not, I'm sure we'll go right back through it.
I still need to go through, though, and tie up all the loose ends because there are kind of a sprinkling of question marks. However, when it comes to the Mongol territories, they are dispatched of.
Yeah. See,
Let me tell you, Steve.
I am taking care of everything as I go.
No stone unturned with the Mongol territories. But I mean, I think I probably still have some fox dens to find. And
sure you do.
Little things like that. So, my hope is that perhaps I can platinum the game by finding everything. That's what Bradley was saying anyway, was, by the by, I'm going to let you know about this. You may already do this already. I don't know.
Probably do.
Have you seen signs, or have you come across signs in the game that have an icon of a person bowing?
Probably not.
Well, aren't you glad I started this little topic?
The only signs that I've ever come across, I think, are like that tell you a shrine or something is nearby.
Okay, so and I have actually seen this sign that I'm describing to you once or twice, but I didn't know. Like I figured, okay, I'll just bow, which was the right thing to do. Like apparently they have a finite amount of spots where you'll come across these signs, and it, like I just said, it has an icon of a person bowing, and so you're supposed to bow in that area, and you'll know it worked because there is some sort of like visual thing that occurs with nature, like you'll be surrounded by butterflies or something, or
sweet.
There's something that obviously lets you know, yes, you bowed in the correct spot. So he said in order to platinum the game, you do have to find all those different places, in which case I asked him, how on earth did you find these signs? And then he admitted he went online and looked at some sort of guide that allowed him to be able to finish, which I have a feeling, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't know this for certain, but I think that's how he gets through these games so quickly, because I cannot understand how many games he can play in a given time period and be able to finish them. And not only that, but like get just about everything completed in there. I think that's what he does, Steve. I have a feeling, not throughout the entire thing, but I think toward the end or whatever, like as he's trying to wrap up, he wants to make sure he didn't like miss out on anything or whatever. Better known as cheating. So we'll have to see if my prediction is correct or not. Anyway, was there anything else to you?
That'll do it.
Okay. So when it came to Ghost of Tsushima, very happy. Like I said, I can't wait to be able to talk more about that with you. It pains me. I was actually hoping that you would come here and say that you too have beaten the game, but you have not.
No. It was funny that when I was streaming that, my wife was watching me stream. And then she was trying to make me laugh, like she was poking me in my ribs. I'm like, I'm trying to be a badass when not laugh. And yeah,
indeed. Moving over to Legends of Runeterra, Steve, I agree with you. The AI has in fact gotten harder because I'm noticing as I'm playing, I'm like, it wasn't this difficult before. I wasn't losing this much. Like, what is going on? And finally, I'm just like, yeah, I think Steve's right. I think that
you notice that the AI is like laughing at you more. You're like, it's making me feel bad.
Well, there's certain rounds where like, I mean, it doesn't just beat me; it like destroys me.
Spanks you. Yeah.
I'll have like 1 point knocked off its nexus, and I'll be down to 1 on mine. So it's like 19 to 1. And oh, by the way, like all of the character spaces are filled in, and I have like 1 or 2 characters. I'm like, what the heck, man? So it's like, okay, I will rise to the challenge. It's okay. I'll just get better. That's fine. It's fine. So I thought it would be worth just pointing that out.
Sure.
I also came across, and stop me if I've told you this already, Steve. Remember who Tom Kalinske is?
That does ring a bell. In a very dark cave I can't see through.
The recesses of your mind.
The labyrinths. I can't breathe this far underground. I don't know. Oh, jeez.
I'm disappointed in you, Steve. I thought for sure you'd be able to whip out who that was. Tom Kalinske was CEO of Sega. Sega of America, to be precise.
You sure it wasn't Sega of Japan, Russ? It's a very Japanese sounding name. I don't know.
No. So what was really fun was that his daughter actually, through some sort of, I can't remember which organization or whatever it was, like they have this little program where I think it's like the children of very well-known successful business people get interviewed. It's a fun thing because it's like family interviewing family. So anyway, she went through and asked him a series of questions. Some of the things I discovered from listening to it, I was like, wow, like he has had even more of a profound influence on our childhood than I even first realized. Because in addition to him being CEO of Sega of America back in like the it was like late 80s, early 90s, like he came on I think around 1989, 1990, something like that. And that was of course when Sonic the Hedgehog was coming out and all the others. And he was the one who was very instrumental in Sega really taking a lead for most of the 16-bit console wars. In addition to that, he was one of the people who actually invented the Flintstone vitamins. Isn't that crazy?
Man.
Like, that was the craziest thing. Like, when we were kids in the 80s, that was kind of, I believe that was when the Flintstone vitamins became out. It was kind of a new thing, and everybody liked it. Like, we loved the character designs of the vitamins. We thought the vitamins tasted good and stuff like that. Yeah. No, he was like one of the point people for that.
Yeah.
Which was super cool. Another thing too is that he also had an involvement with the He-Man stuff. So like the He-Man merchandise and all that kind of thing. Like he was very instrumental in getting a lot of that stuff successful to the point where like the cartoon was doing really well and the toys were doing really well and everything. Yeah, that was Tommy. That was definitely
Tommy boy.
And I don't know if you know this, but he was the one who also was very pivotal in keeping the Barbie line afloat. Because I didn't know this, but apparently Barbie was almost bankrupt. Like they almost stopped selling Barbie. And there was some lady that came over to Tom who, he wasn't a CEO or anything like that at this time, but he, I believe it was Mattel that he worked at. And she said, yeah, like, I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to pull the plug on Barbie. And Tom was like, what?
Don't pull the plug on Barbie.
No. So then he spearheaded this whole campaign and it ended up working out terrific because as a result, Barbie like just exploded in popularity in the 80s, which was like around the time period that he was working and having his tenure at Mattel. So again, looking at all those different achievements, I'm thinking, man, like we really have a lot of gratitude to give to Mr. Kalinske because, with the exception of Barbie, right? We didn't really play with Barbies. We were kind of more of the G.I. Joe crowd, but I can say that I also had a lot of fun playing with the He-Man toys and stuff. So hats off to Tom for being able to fill our childhood with glee.
Thank you, Tom.
So finally for me, I have been playing more Marvel's Avengers. I was streaming it on Wednesday night, which is the time, of course, that we always do our Joygasm streams at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. And so let me describe where I'm at, and then you can. I'm assuming you're farther. Well, I know you're farther because you have Black Widow. I have essentially made it to the part where Hulk was he was fighting Abomination, I think is the character's name. So I beat him, and I'm a little bit farther after that. Like I think I've just gotten my bedroom back at the Resistance headquarters.
Sure. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Whatever is that what it's called? Yeah. Or is it just a helicarrier?
It's like the Chimera or something. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that thing is.
Chimera.
So how far back am I from where you are?
Quite a ways.
Yeah, okay.
Quite a ways. Yeah.
So I do have some comments I want to make to you, Steve. First of all, I totally know what you were describing to me before with regards to the Hulk, in the sense that like as you're playing the Hulk and you come up against like some of those guys who have those shields and you really, like you struggle to get past that shield. I too have an issue with that because as the Hulk, like that should not stop him at all. And literally the only thing I could do was like continuously pick up debris from the ground and throw it at them in order for that to go away. Because anytime I try to get behind him or jump up and do a slam or whatever, apart from doing like his ultimate ability that charges over time, you really can't get past those characters. And so I found myself kind of being a little let down as a result. But to be fair, like I enjoy lumbering around as the Hulk. I mean, he has a really cool presence in the game, and him being able to leap and grab onto like the walls and jump and crush stuff and everything else, and the way he sounds, all that is really cool. And it does make me wonder if it's more of an issue with how they have the upgrade system set up, because I have witnessed a little bit of like, oh, you've got a skill point, therefore you can spend it here, here, or here. So I think that's kind of what I have going on in my mind, right? Is like, okay, maybe they have it set up where when you first start playing as the Hulk, it's kind of more of like the basic level Hulk. And then you can, by the time like you get close to the end of the game, you've unlocked most of the abilities. Suddenly he feels more appropriately Hulk. I'm not exactly sure. Do you notice, since you're farther along, have you played more as the Hulk?
Every once in a while, yeah. It kind of just feels the same. You do get stronger. But the other night, I played as Hulk, and I still couldn't get past those shield dudes. So,
okay.
Like your punches get stronger, and so if they don't have the shields, then it definitely wastes more life. But then as you're smacking the crap out of them, they hardly even move, and like their shield doesn't break, and I don't know. I can run through skyscrapers, but I can't defeat a light shield. I don't know.
It just seems like just from a pure weight ratio standpoint, it's like, okay, fine, you have a shield that can protect you from like bullets and stuff, but if you have like a 10-foot ogre of a man coming at you,
it's like really hard to hurt, by the way.
Yeah, it's like I don't care what you have in front of you. Like you're gonna go flying simply because you're like a 200-pound dude. The Hulk is like 1,000 pounds. I mean, it's the whole like, I don't know, physics thing.
Well, plus too, like you should still be able to grab people. Like they have a shield, it should be no problem. Hulk will just like throw the shield away, grab and like flip flop him around Loki style and throw him away. So like even if he couldn't bust through the shield, he would still grab him and toss him. Like it.
I really do hope they have that move in there for the Hulk. Like where you okay, awesome. Yeah. So that, I mean, it sounds like it's pretty accurate to guess that over time, all of the heroes become more and more like how we all expect them to be. I can see why they would do that, but at the same time, I don't know if that was a good call, or maybe it just needs more balanced tweaking kind of thing going on. I'm not exactly sure, but that's not to say I'm not enjoying the game. I actually think that there are aspects of the game that are fun, but I do think that there are certain gameplay mechanics that need some more polish and some more thoughtfulness behind them, because they seem kind of outdated or just not really as immersive, I guess you could say. Like, for instance, to give you an idea, and you've already been through this part, but like I was Miss Marvel and there are like these 3 control panels that you have to turn on. And it was literally like I turn one on, enemies spawn. I have to take out all those enemies before I'm able to actually turn on the second generator. Rinse and repeat. Enemies come, have to dispense with them. I get to the third one, and it's all in order to unlock this other door. So even though I've turned on all 3 control panels, the light above the door I'm trying to get through will not turn green until after I've dispatched every last enemy. And I'm like, this is outdated thinking. This is outdated methodology. This is not realistic. Like, I want to be able, especially with a game this new, like I should be able to decide I'm not going to take out all these different guys and I'm just going to run through the door. Now they can follow me if they want and give chase. That's perfectly fine and realistic. But I mean, I don't know. I found it to be kind of like a rather shallow approach to some of the combat mechanics and going from point A to point B, that sort of thing. I want to also talk about the graphics though, because now that I've played more of the game, that's a pretty game. Like the graphics themselves, like when you're in Utah and you're looking at all those rock formations and stuff and the draw distance, it was gorgeous.
There's parts where it is gorgeous. Yes. And then there's parts where it's not.
Okay.
I'm telling you, because like in the first part of the game, when you first meet and you're Bruce Banner, you're kind of going through the forest.
Oh man,
that was pretty too.
Stunning.
Yeah, exactly. And then you were in Utah, it looked great too.
Yeah.
When you're in like urban areas in the cities or inside like a warehouse or something, like it goes flat quick.
Okay. Well, I'll give you another update as I continue playing along, but so far I've been very impressed. I love the Golden Gate Bridge sequence. I really liked playing as Miss Marvel, going through the city at nighttime and going into the park. I thought that looked really nice. And again, as I just mentioned, going through Utah and seeing the helicarrier all crashed out and everything else, like the forest sequences, like foliage is hard to model in light in a way that looks appealing. And I think man, I mean, you can even, if you watch the stream, there are multiple times where I stopped and just looked around. I was like, man, I really like how this looks.
So there's a sequence that I was playing earlier in the week where you have Jarvis. I'll just tell you, you start talking to Jarvis. And Jarvis
I got the hard drive of Jarvis.
Okay, well, there you go.
But I haven't started talking to him.
So, well, anyway, I mean, you got the hard... We just got the hard drive. It's cool. Yeah. Put it in a locker somewhere.
I figured at some point I'll be speaking to Jarvis.
You just carve your initials in the hard drive.
Yeah.
That's it. So anyway, Jarvis, he wants to hack into something and you're just trying to get into a new locations where you're going.
Yeah.
And so you're Tony Stark and you're waiting for Jarvis to do his thing, and swarms of enemies keep on coming to you. Now, all Jarvis says is, hey, stay in proximity or else I may lose connection. And that's all he says.
Yeah.
And so at some point, enemies are coming at you everywhere, and all you are is just Tony Stark. Or not, I shouldn't say just. You're Tony Stark.
You're friggin' Tony Stark.
but there's tons of enemies coming at you. And so sometimes you get out of the proximity you're supposed to be in. And I think, okay, well, I'll just go back in, and he might have to start over. Whatever. He's Jarvis. No big deal. There's no timer that says like when you're supposed to be out. There's no timer that says you're supposed to be in for so long. There's no timer anywhere. And at repeatedly, out of nowhere, it just says mission failed because I've stayed out for too long. And I've tried to time it and I can't time it. And so I just think like eventually I'm going to use like my strong power and just obliterate everybody so I can stay in the zone.
Sure, yeah.
But otherwise, if I just fly up and around and stay in the zone that I'm supposed to be in, the game just like ends. And I have to start all the way over again and again and again and again. Oh, like, this game has got to like work out. Either if this is a bug, it's got to So I can't be the only person to notice it.
Yeah.
If that's how they wanted to finish it up, it's pretty rushed.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to let you know my thoughts once I get to that point. How much farther ahead is that from where I'm?
It's ahead. Like you gotta
play for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, I will continue playing the game because there is merit to the game. I'll say that for sure. Like there are aspects to it. I think I'm having to realign my expectations just because I was expecting it to be like super high up here, and it just so far hasn't. Like, and it's not like there's a huge disparaging difference from what my expectations were versus like what my experience has been with the game. Having said that, though, like one of the things that I find a little frustrating is like the camera is kind of twitchy.
It is twitchy.
Yeah, like I'll move and all of a sudden it goes whoosh. It's like whoa! I didn't want to do that.
And I can't see where anything like who's attacking me. Yeah,
and I remember us talking about how it was interesting that Crystal Dynamics ended up delaying the game's release, which I think looking at the game now, I'm glad that they did that because they clearly needed more time. And I think that honestly, they probably could have used a bit more time just to, again, it's that polish phase where like, all the nuts and bolts and stuff are in the game. You need the time to be able to iron out the wrinkles basically, right? And so that's what this is like, it's a really pretty shirt, but it's got wrinkles in it that it needs to be ironed. And so that's kind of like how I view it when it comes to certain things like that. But overall though, like I said, I think the audio sounds great. I think the visuals are very impressive. So we'll see. Like it'll be interesting to see like how the game ends, and then we can discuss that further. Missed the Sony pre-order? That's okay. It's time for the topic of the day. Topic of the day is the Sony PS5 pre-order screw up. So they had this Sony PlayStation live stream showcase, or maybe they call it the PS5 showcase live stream. It's one or the other.
Sure.
You flip those words back and forth. Doesn't matter. So they said, hey, we got some big news, and we're going to be sharing that with you in addition to showing some extended gameplay footage of several of the titles that we had teased at our last show. I will say that I think in terms of what they had to show, there were certain titles that I got a much better idea of what they were about. I was glad that they did, in fact, show more of that. I was especially impressed with Demon Souls, which of course is I believe the developer that also worked on the Soul series as well as Sekiro, all that fun stuff. But I was very impressed with the graphics fidelity on that. And apparently that is a game that will be available for launch when the PS5 drops. So Did you like when you were watching the show? Did you enjoy what they had to offer? I mean, there wasn't really. I didn't see anything new that hadn't already been announced, but they did go more in depth.
They did go more in depth. I still was a bit disappointed. I thought they handled the show fine. I thought that, you know, the people who had stuff to say, they didn't take forever to say it. They got back to the games. The games looked fine. I think what they showed towards the end of the show was better than what they showed in the beginning of the show. That was definitely a lot more memorable.
Yeah.
But if you were watching, did you see during some of the sequences how it wasn't like an exclusive for Sony? It was like, oh yeah, also available on PC.
I did notice that.
So
yeah, in tiny text.
Yeah, I thought, well, that's kind of taking it away from the PS5. And here's the thing too. So I spoke with a friend of mine who is a fan of the Soul series. And I'm like, so are you going to get a PS5 now? And he goes, well, no, it's available on PC. So I want to go to get a PS5 to get that game.
Oh, interesting.
And he is diehard on that series. Like he was thinking of buying the system, and he actually pointed that out to me. He goes, yeah, see, available for PC. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I already got a nice PC. I'm just going to get it for that.
And I'm telling you, for the best graphics, as long as you have the proper graphics card,
the cojones.
Oh my goodness, that is the ultimate experience.
Right. So, but I mean, he was all for buying a PS5 until he found that out, and then he goes like, yeah, I'll wait, you know? And so there's that. I was really hoping they would improve on how Final Fantasy looked. I thought Final Fantasy looked better in the previous show than it looked on this show. I'm like, what happened? I mean, did you just notice that? Mm-hmm. So anyhow, I mean, I'm cool with still waiting. I mean, God of War is going to come out later on. They'll have a lot more games later on. I just think that, you know, I'm just not in a hurry for it. I have a bigger library of Microsoft titles, and I don't have a 4K player. I just think I'm going to get the Microsoft system. There's a slew of games that I have yet to beat.
Yeah.
And I'd love to finish them on the best possible way I could.
Sure,
you
yeah.
know, I still have my my Xbox One. I don't even have the X. So like a bunch of people are even playing these games that looks better on their system. My puny system that I've had for years.
To 2013.
Oh man, I didn't get it in 2013. Yeah, I got it like a year or two later. So anyhow, half a decade old at least. So I'm still on board with getting a Microsoft Xbox Series X. Mm-hmm. But if I don't get it on opening day, I think I'll still try and pre-order it just so I can brag and say I'm better than you. I'm just kidding. So, but I think I'll still try and get one on opening day, but I'm not going to, my heart's not going to be broken if I don't get one.
Now, when it came to the end of the PS5 showcase live stream, one of the biggest announcements, of course, was that they decided to announce how much the PS5 is going to cost.
Which I figured they would do that by now.
Now, what was interesting is, so they have the version that has the disc tray, and then they have the digital version.
Yeah.
Now, what was interesting is that if you recall, so the Xbox Series X, they dropped the price. Well, they said, oh, it leaked, which I halfway
sure,
believe.
yeah,
I'm not
leaked
exactly
from
sure
Microsoft.
Yeah, it leaked from
on
Phil
purpose.
Spencer.
Yeah,
but anyway, the Xbox Series X we know costs $500, and then they have the Xbox Series S, which is a bit of a watered down version, but still a powerful console.
Yeah,
that is going to retail for $300. So we were all very much curious to see like what the prices are going to be. So it's interesting because the PS5 is, and this is the full version with the disc tray, that is matching Microsoft's price for the Xbox Series X, $500. What's interesting though is that their digital version is going to be $400. So there's literally $300, $400, $500 options from the two different some competitors. So when it comes to that, what I also find interesting is that the specifications of the Xbox Series S apparently, in certain regards, is still more powerful than the PS5,
or at least very competitive with it.
Yeah, like I think there are certain things that it is not. Like I think the PS5 is more. I don't know if powerful is the right word.
More
for it,
betterist.
There are just certain options on there that I think are not available on the lower version of the Xbox Series X. But having said that, it is interesting how they are going with the $400 price tag on that. Do you think they should have gone for $300 for that or not?
I don't know about that, right?
Because they're both digital versions of the system.
That's true. The thing is with the $300, I mean, with Microsoft, I kind of feel like if you bought an Xbox One X for $500, and then this thing comes out for $300, and it's more powerful than your One X, you're gonna feel like, what? I just spent $500 on the second system when I just could have waited, and so in a way, like I didn't do that, but I would feel as if I did, I'd feel a little bit burned because now you're giving me only like a few years later, you're getting a much powerful system for a lot less money. It's almost like a win-win. I mean, but it's not. It's like, okay, I spent money on 2 Xbox systems. Now I'm going to spend it. I don't know. It just doesn't make much sense. I kind of think like as a consumer, you expect certain prices to be there, and you almost think that if it's too cheap of a price, you think like something else is wrong with it or something's up with it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's how my brain is tweaked.
Well, I think that when it comes to the 2 different systems, I'm very curious to see how they are going to perform, just because I think that you have 2 different audiences. I think there's an audience out there that has fully embraced more of the digital download. They don't really care about the physical copies at all, but there is also a very large audience that still wants to have the option to be able to purchase a physical copy of a game to be able to have and to hold from this day forward. So whether or not one or the other sells better, I do think this could be, in fact, the last console generation where they're going to offer a disc tray within the systems. I think that when the next generation of consoles come out in the next, 5 to 10 years from now, I think that they are going to completely do away with physical copies, which it's pretty crazy to think of.
I know that's the way they're going. I hope that doesn't happen. But so do you think you're going to get? I'm swaying the conversation from PlayStation to Microsoft, but I gotta know.
Yeah,
I gotta know.
What's your question, Steve?
So I know you want both systems, and eventually, when I feel not as cheap, I'll get both too. But are you going to get the lower end Microsoft system?
No.
Or okay, fine.
No, I'm going for the $500 one just because I am of that fan base that I like the option of being able to have physical copies of games. Because there are certain games that come out that are super special. Like, for instance, the Cyberpunk 2077 title that I pre-ordered, the collector's edition or whatever. I can't remember what they call it. Ultimate edition, collector's edition, something like that. Anyway, it's a disc, so I need a disc tray in order to play the game. So
there you go, bro.
I'm not so much am I going to be playing that game on just an Xbox One. I want to be able to put it in the big boy.
Yeah, there you go. Hashtag go big or go home.
But here's one of my predictions too. I do think that once the consoles no longer offer the physical copy of games, I think that over time you are going to have future generations and even our generations kind of long for being able to own the tangible discs. I think they're going to become like those collectible vintage items. And we've seen that already with some of the older classic games, like for the Sega Saturn and whatnot, just because they're getting harder and harder to find. And regardless of how old they are, you have some cult classics out there that everybody's like, oh man, I forgot about that game. That's super cool. And I mean, we've seen how some of these games sell for a whole lot of money. So it's interesting to me that it's almost like, in the music business, how everybody used to have record players and they had records and stuff. And then it went from records to cassette tape, and then from cassette tape to disc, and then from disc. Now they were actually the first to pretty much go the whole digital download route.
True. Although, with that in mind, the disc was still better than the digital download.
Yeah.
So we kind of took a step back just for convenience.
Sure. Sake. Yeah. But I do think what's interesting is that there have been folks who are, our parents' generation, but also a lot of millennials who have taken a big vested interest in like starting and building a record collection. In fact, record players have actually made a kind of a successful comeback of sorts, where people look at it and they go, man, it's just neat to be able to have this old technology in my, modern day futuristic house and be able to play this stuff and kind of feel connected to that time period of the 70s, for instance.
Speaking of record players, Russ. See, now we're digressing further.
I'm going to put us back on target here in just a minute.
There's a record player you can get where it has like that reverse magnet polarity thing where like, if you have two magnets that are reversed, they kind of push each other away. This actually, when you turn it on and you give the magnet some current, it pushes the disc or the record up high, not high, well, like a foot off.
Like it hovers?
Like it hovers, and then the needle is like up in the, not up in the air, but like there's a stand with the needle, and the record looks like it's floating
That
and spinning.
is cool. Yeah. You'll have to send me a link on that. I may have to pick something like that up. That sounds pretty slick. So to get back on to target of our topic of the day, which is the Sony pre-order.
Oh yeah, I
screw-up.
forgot about that. Right, yeah.
So they end up saying, okay, here are the prices, and oh, by the way, you are going to be able to pre-order this starting the next day. And so that actually was really big news, because it's like, oh, wow, like they're not waiting until next week. Like, Microsoft is having their pre-order date literally like next week. It's like the week after Sony had their presentation. So they decided to beat Xbox to the punch. That's kind of big news. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So everybody is marking their calendars, setting their alarms, all that stuff, just making a mental note.
Taking time off work, right?
Exactly, because they want to be able to get in on it.
Yeah.
Well, what ends up happening is that I get a text from Bradley later in the afternoon and said that one of the people that he follows on Twitter, which goes by the name of, I think it's Wario64.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
He I don't know how he gets all this information, but he's very resourceful. Anyway, he posted that he had found links on Walmart's website for the PS5, both the digital version and the physical copy version, and that people were able to actually make orders from the links. So the links were in fact live. So that was kind of crazy. So like, he went, Bradley went over there and he was able to grab one, but he said, he still thinks that he's not sure if it's actually secured or not, because first of all, at the time we weren't sure if like it was truly an active link or not. And the other thing is that apparently Walmart has a bad reputation for just allowing people to pre-order any given product, but they only have so much of the product. And then when it comes time for that product's release, they go, oh, no, we only have this many. And so then they essentially send out like a oopsie daisy email to people who actually don't have it pre-ordered, even though they thought they did, which is just bizarre to me. I'm like, you guys are a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Like, I would think that you would have the tech in your website to be able to ascertain like, okay, we have X amount of product, therefore you're only going to allow X amount of pre-orders. It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me. Moving on from that though, what was initially assumed to be kind of like a glitch, or maybe like some pimply faced teenager who messed up the activity for the links, it ended up being legit. And what happened was you had this domino effect where Target, GameStop, Best Buy, Amazon, essentially all of the largest retailers out there all of a sudden made their quantities of PS5 pre-orders available that day. And it was, granted, it was more in the evening time. Like it started happening like, I don't know, around like 8 p.m. or something like that. But I mean, like to give you an idea, I'm in Central Time and the Walmart thing happened at about, I want to say 4 or 5 p.m. Central Time. And then it just kind of went on from there. So by the time that it was actually technically the next day, like 12:01 a.m., they were sold out. Like everywhere you look, it was totally sold out, because people were finding out through Twitter and other means that, oh my gosh, like these links are actually working now. And so there's been this backlash going on with the especially the Sony fanboys, because you have people who, they watch the show and they're ready to okay, I'm going to, as soon as it's the next day, I'm going to put in my pre-order and we'll be good to go. And I even have coworkers at work. We were talking about this on Slack, and there were people who actually got a PS5 console in their cart, was in the middle of entering their credit card info, and they saw the console product item disappear from their cart before they could actually check out.
I heard about that.
That's what people were dealing with. So Microsoft ended up sending out a tweet that threw shade at Sony.
Sure, I saw it.
And, it said, they posted up pictures of their Xbox Series S and X, and they said pre-order September 22nd, worldwide launch in 36 countries, November 10th. The hype is at 9,000 plus. And then they put in parentheses, don't worry, we'll let you know the exact time pre-orders start for you soon.
Yeah. Well, you got to think too. I don't know if you saw this tweet. It was I didn't think anything of it, and then it just dawned on me where what's the guy's name who does the Game Awards show? Is it Jeff Keighley, something like that?
Oh yeah.
Keighley, Neely, Feely, Sheely, Monomeely.
Jeff Keighley or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's talking to some Sony VP, and this is July. This is like, I don't know, July 20. Who knows? I don't know. Something in July. And at that point, it was confusing. Where did Sony just open up pre-orders or they not? I think someone saw somebody standing in line for a pre-order. They thought that GameStop was going to have it or something. So there's this rumor mill going around going, can we pre-order now? And so anyway, Jeff asks and says, hey, so have you heard about this happening? And the guy said, yeah, I did. I don't know. We never gave any order to say, yeah, okay, start pre-ordering. We never made any announcements. We never tweeted. We didn't, whatever. And so Jeff's like, oh, yeah, oh, ha, ha, ha. So, okay, just remember, whatever. But the guy did end up saying, when we decide to start pre-orders, we will give you ample time.
Right.
To make plans or do whatever you have to do to pre-order your system. Ample time. Like, I didn't even know. Like, you told me one day, hey, I did a pre-order on a Sony PS5. I'm like, they're available. What? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
So even if it's a day, a day in my opinion is not even ample time. Microsoft's giving people ample time.
Well, and I personally, I put the blame squarely on Sony for this whole debacle because they're the ones who can actually set release dates for their product. And I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but this is the kind of thing that I think is just, it's bad business, especially when you make as a company a big deal. Like one of your biggest announcements at your showcase is this is the date and time that this will become available for pre-order. So then everybody makes a mental note. And then all of a sudden you have these retailers that decide they're going to make these things available earlier than that. Well, you're kind of squandering, your brand affinity with your customers. Like people are going to be upset, and rightfully so, because you're providing misinformation. Like what's the point of having that? And plus, it makes you look foolish because then people are like, so is Sony incompetent? Are there people not communicating with the retailers? What the heck is going on?
Yeah, in the age of mass communication, they're miscommunicating.
And so I know I mentioned already with the Walmart situation where even if you pre-ordered a PS5 through Walmart, there's no guarantee that you're actually secured with it. Like it could very well be that you get one of those oopsie daisy emails, but Walmart's not the only one. Brad, who by the way was able to secure a PS5 at Walmart, Target, and Amazon.
Oh man, he's gonna be a scalper.
He sent me an email that he received from Amazon, which is really surprising because normally Amazon is the place. Like if you want to do a pre-order, what's awesome is that they don't actually charge your card until it gets shipped. And on top of that, they have the most robust cart system, and they're on it. Let's say it's one of their core pillars as a company. But he got this email that says, hello, we're contacting you about your order of the PlayStation 5 console to let you know in advance that you may not receive this item on the day it is released due to high demand. We'll make every effort to get the item to you as soon as possible once released. And then it goes on to say like you can track the latest shipment status of your order under your orders on Amazon.com. Blah, 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 blah. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Sincerely, customer service at Amazon. So I thought that was really surprising because Amazon is always on their game, even when it comes to shipments. Like anytime you have some sort of really popular item that goes up for pre-order, Amazon is like one of the places that you want to try and score it on because they're going to like on that day that it's supposed to drop, like they will drop it off in front of your front door. So it's interesting how even they are struggling a bit with like how many pre-orders went into play. And I also think too, it goes back to the fault being placed squarely on Sony because Sony may have overpromised a certain number to whatchamacallit, the different retailers like Amazon and whatnot, and then may have actually come back and said, oh, you know what? We're not going to be able to meet that number due to hardware restrictions because we did. Did you hear about how Sony?
I was just about to ask you.
Steve, why don't you take it away for us?
So yeah, Sony's getting they can't get enough chips. Their potato chips aren't coming in, and so they're having to cut back production and back down on some promises.
Cheddar and sour cream or sour cream and onion, Steve?
Oh man, sour cream and cheddar. Ugh.
Well, what's the Ruffles flavor? It's the I thought it was cheddar and maybe it's something else. I thought it was cheddar and sour cream.
I don't know, but sour cream and onion does
we'll go
good.
How about simple barbecue chips?
I'm more of a Sun Chips garden salsa type.
You
Russ.
know what? I was going to say Sun Chips are good.
Sun Chips are the bomb.com.
Sun Chips are not to be underestimated.
Not at all.
Nor are they to be overlooked. And we are not sponsored by Sun Chips.
Wish we were. I like Sun Chips. Man, that'd be a great spot. Anyway, so Sony's having some troubles. So this is not the move they want to make when they can't even fulfill their I was going to say promises. Pre-promises, post-promises, just present promises. So anyhow, yeah, not good. So it's going to be very interesting to all of us to see how the Microsoft pre-order goes because they could just as well have some sort of issues that are unforeseen. However, I think that Microsoft is very astute in seeing how this is very problematic for Sony. Yeah.
And I think that Microsoft has been burned enough times during other older console launches that they have put on themselves to know, man, we've got to really make sure that we're on the ball. And so I think this actually will be a bit of I wouldn't say a win for Microsoft, but it definitely makes them be in a better position, I would say. Just overall, because when people think back, here's the thing. When people think back to this console's release, they're totally going to remember how Sony once again, and this is a repeated pattern with Sony, is like they tend to bungle their release.
They
like
do.
There's always some sort of issue. And it's the most weirdest thing because Sony is this huge company. There shouldn't be any kind of issue whatsoever. And if Microsoft is able to have a seamless rollout, that will go into their favor and history will smile on them in that regard. There are other parts of how they've handled this entire rollout campaign that history will not smile on them, such as not having any killer apps to come out with in the game release.
Really.
I got this $500 paperweight. I joke around with everybody how it's so ironic to me that I'm buying a next-gen system to play a current gen game known as Cyberpunk 2077 in order to enjoy it on a next gen system, because that is literally the only killer app that's being released when the next gen systems come out. Like, it's like, you guys, and it wasn't just them, it was Sony too. Like, how on earth do neither one of you have a first party killer app title that's going to coincide with the release of your console that you have had in development for years?
Well, not only that, but this is the generation where some of the smaller developers are making stuff that's blowing out the bigger developers right out of the water and being humble about it too. My goodness.
Yeah, definitely. So did you have any concluding thoughts, Steve?
You know, Russ, good luck getting yours. If you need me to take a time off my lunch break to make sure yours gets delivered on time.
Are you talking about the Xbox Series X or the PS5?
Your PS5,
Oh!
Russ. I'll make sure that gets to you because when those ship, you're going to have some porch pirates looking at those Amazon vans.
That's very true. That's very, very true. We'll have to see how. Well, I mean,
I'll make sure I look extra ugly that day. So if anybody comes up to your driveway, I'll snarl at them.
honk a loogie onto their tennis shoe. Well, that wraps up this episode of Joygasm. Make sure you tune in next week. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed this episode, we invite you to check out patreon.com/Joygasm, which is spelled Joygasm, and consider becoming a monthly contributor. You'll get exclusive perks and early access to the show, not to mention it really helps us continue doing what we love to do. Also, you can follow us on social media and YouTube. Just do a search for Joygasm TV. Last but not least, search Joygasm TV on Twitch to see us stream our gaming adventures live every Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. Take care, everybody.